What is up, my legion of leasers, my army of apartment maniacs? How you guys doing?
Great, how are you?
I'm doing great. All right, I want you guys, we're going to talk a little bit about getting renewals today, but before I jump in and talk about getting renewals, I want to hear from you guys what makes renewals frustrating? What makes renewals difficult? Where are some of the challenges? How do residents act sometimes when we try and get the lease renewed? And then I'll see if I can fix some of this for you. Talk to me about the downside of asking for renewals.
Renewals is normally the time that they want to say, oh, well, this has never been fixed, that's never been fixed, you've never addressed this, but it's never been reported. So we get that a lot. Most of the time they're angry about rent increases.
Never fixed, never reported, angry about rent increases. I love it. I don't love it, but I love it that you're saying this because this is what everybody else hears too. Anybody else got something you can add to that list? What makes renewal time frustrating?
So they want upgrades. They want upgrades.
Upgrades, yeah, I gotta get upgrades. Would you say it's a fair... All right, I'm gonna make myself sound really old here, but it's a fair statement. They turn into Janet Jackson from the 90s. Dun, 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 dun. What have you done for me lately? Right? Ooh. Anyone else want to add anything to the list? As long as we're venting, as long as we're having a little therapy sesh here, anything else you want to add to the list? Things that make renewals frustrating. We've got never fixed, but you never reported it. Rent increases. You gotta give me some upgrades. What have you done for me lately? Anything else?
Market, I can get an apartment more cost effective. I can do it. They can't get the service we provide. They can't get any of the things that we provide. But, they try to say, well, I can go get this apartment for this price, but you can't get the things that we offer. And they try to keep the rent the same. They do try to negotiate, but I mean, if that apartment was that great, they wouldn't even question it anymore. So
100%, right? There's one outlier in here, and that is the never fixed, never reported. We're going to talk about that separately. But all the rest I would lump into, man, I'm not going to deal with this rent increase. Boy, you better give me some upgrades if I'm going to continue to live here. What have you done for me lately? And the market is different. I can get a lot better apartment someplace else. I'm going to lump all of those into, we need to, and again, I'm not trying to say anything bad about our residents. I'm not trying to say anything bad about anybody's resident. But we need to save our residents from themselves sometimes. And what do I mean by that? Let me unpack what I mean by that. Moving is very stressful. Paying rent is not our favorite thing. If you surveyed 10,000 people right now, 0 of 10,000 people would be, I love to pay my rent every month. They all feel like, to some degree, has anybody ever had somebody walk into the leasing office and demand that you charge them double for the apartment because you just screwed up somewhere and you're just not charging enough? Has it ever happened?
Never.
Yeah, never. It never happens, okay? The opposite is what happens in their mind, even though the opposite isn't true. You and I would do this as well if we were in their position. We feel like we're overpaying. Here's the problem, and here's why I say we need to save our residents from themselves. These are, in most cases, emotionally driven conversations. And I'm going to say that again because it's really important to understand. This is an emotionally driven conversation. I'm not renewing my lease unless you give me an upgrade. Or I can get a better place somewhere else. And if you are not skillful in facing that emotionally driven statement, the words that come out of that person's mouth, you put them in a position where they've got to back up the BS that has just come out of their mouth. Well, I can get a better deal someplace else. No, you can't. Yes, I can. Watch me. Right? And now then they don't renew their lease, and guess what ends up happening? They end up living in a place that's worse, paying more, and hating it. Happens all the time. They make decisions based on their emotions. They leave the community based on the fact that this drip was in my sink for 3 months, and they leave based on some stupid reason, and they don't like it someplace else. Unless they've had some dramatic change in their life, i.e. they're now making 3 times, 4 times, 5 times more money. If they're making the same amount of money they're making right now, chances are 90+% of the time, as Kurt alluded to, if they go someplace else, they're going to get less for more, not more for less. They're going to get less for more. So how can we be more skillful in this? Let's first talk about this outlier. You bring up the renewal. Hey, do you want to renew your lease? Oh, you guys never fixed it. Never fixed it. Never reported it. The first thing I want you to do when somebody says you never fixed the drip in my sink is I want you to mirror. This is straight out of your leasinguniversity.com portal. You guys never fixed that leak in my kitchen sink. The best way to walk into this skillfully is to mirror. So you're just going to repeat back the last 1 to 4 words that somebody said. Hey, Kurt, do you want to renew your lease? Oh, no, you guys never fixed the drip in my sink. Fix the drip in your sink? Yeah, I mean, it's been dripping for 6 months. The light in the hallway has been out forever. The light in the hallway's been out forever? Yeah, I mean, it's been out for a long time. A long time? Well, it's been out since this morning, right? Did you report it? Well, no. Got it. Let me make sure that I get the maintenance team on that right now. Or if it's a drip in the sink, did you happen to go onto the portal and report that? I think so. You think so? Yeah. You mind if we go in together and check? Because, this is something that we really strive to take care of. And it's concerning to me that if something was done in the portal, I get it, most of the time it's something as simple as a resident thought they did. But again, we try to be great here, but we're not. It's impossible for us to read somebody's mind. Let's go in there and look. Oh, it looks like it hasn't been reported. Do you want me to walk you through how to do that right now? Right? Oh, okay, yeah. So that's how I want you to walk yourself into and out of the you never fixed this, you never did this. This has been, because if we automatically hit that head on with, well, did you report it? The answer is always going to be yes. So I want you to mirror them, because you see how that sounds almost like it's the first time you've heard of it, right? Well, my sink has been dripping for 4 months. Your sink's been dripping for 4 months? Well, yeah, you guys haven't fixed it. We haven't fixed it? No. Did you fill out a maintenance request? Well, no, I haven't. Got it. Let's knock that out right now. Okay? Then after you fill up that request, after you take care of that, now we're going to walk back into the renewal conversation. Okay, now let's talk about how are we starting these renewal conversations, because there's a much more skillful way to start the renewal conversation. What I don't want you guys ever saying is, do you want to renew your lease? Okay, your lease is coming due. You want to renew your lease? Hey, we love having you live here. Would you like to renew your lease? I don't want you to say any of that. I want you to ask them a timing question, because again, this is a very tense, emotionally driven conversation. So we're going to take all of the emotions out of it and say, does it make sense to renew your lease? And listen to, hey, Kurt, great to see you here in the leasing office. Man, it's been awesome. Yeah, I was just grabbing my Amazon package. Hey, I noticed, I think if I remember correctly, we're right about the 9-month mark. We love having you live here. Does it make sense to just take 3-4 minutes here and knock out the lease renewal? Right? When I say does it make sense for us to take 3-4 minutes and knock out the lease renewal, you can't reject me on renewing your lease. And this is huge, because more so than even do you want to lease the apartment, more so than Mom, can I have the keys to the car? This is one of those unique times in life where that person has a proclivity to say no, or I'm not sure. And we have to be prepared. We have to set ourselves up for them saying either no or I'm not sure. And if they say yes, great, more power to us. We just made our life a lot easier. But if I say, do you want to renew your lease? Knowing that I have to save this person from themselves, right? I don't want to if I have to save somebody from drowning, the last thing I want to do is throw the life preserver out there with no rope attached to it. Do you want to renew your lease? I don't want that. And then the life preserver goes drifting off. The person goes drifting off the other way, they drown and die, and it's a sad story. I want to throw the preserver out there with a rope attached to it, so if they don't grab it, I can get the rope back. That sounds like this. Hey, Kurt, it's great to see you here in the leasing office, or call Kurt. Hey, Kurt, I've got an idea I wanted to get your opinion on. Can you give me a call here in the leasing office? Yeah, hey, Matt, it's Kurt in 407. What's up? Yeah, so I was just looking at my reports here. I can't believe you've lived here for 9 months. Typically what happens, most people right about that 9-month mark go ahead and lock in their lease for the next year, so it's one less thing that they have to worry about. Does it make sense for you to renew that lease? By saying doesn't make sense, I'm throwing the preserver out with a rope attached to it. Because if you say no and you push the preserver away, I can go, got it, cool, what's a good next step then? Right? Well, I'm not sure, I want to shop around. You want to shop around? Yeah. Is there something in your apartment that you're hoping to find somewhere else? Well, yeah, I mean, I would like a much larger closet. Got it. It makes perfect sense. How much have you thought about extra that you're going to pay to get the larger closet? Right? Now, maybe you have some product at your community you could recommend, but the most important thing that you have to do is also take the emotions out of this when somebody says, I think I want this. I think I want more of a loft space. Of course they do. Why wouldn't they? I think I want a rooftop saltwater pool where I live next. You have to bring them out of the emotion and back to reality. How much did you kind of set aside to pay for something like that? Well, nothing. Right? I want to pay the same thing I'm paying now. Got it. You know, I get it. I'm totally with you. You know, what most people have found is when they go out and look, they're actually in a position, because rents have gone up dramatically just in the last 9 months, and we do have a small increase that's coming with your renewal, but because you're doing a renewal, we like to mitigate those increases as much as possible. But what most people have found when they go out and look is it's considerably more to get the same apartment that you have now, and if you wanted to go with something with like a rooftop pool or a much larger closet, typically you're looking at paying twice what you're paying right now. Right? And you're now bringing them back down to reality. And if they're like, well, I want to look around a little bit more, they're still emotional. Again, you have a rope attached to your life preserver. Got it. What's a good next step on my end? Right? Call me Tuesday. Then Tuesday, right? Use my 2 favorite words. As promised. Hey, Kurt, Matt here in the leasing office. As promised, it's Tuesday. Don't put yourself back in the hole you were just in on Friday. Right? And say, I know you were going to look at other places, see if you could find a bigger closet, see if you could find a rooftop swimming pool. Don't say any of that. Let them put you back in that hole if they want to put you back in that hole. Just stay positive and right on the task. And the task is renew the lease. Hey, Kurt, it's Tuesday. It's Matt Easton here in the leasing office. It's Tuesday, as promised, calling to see if it makes sense to renew the lease. You're going to be shocked when you don't bring it back up at how often they won't bring it back up. Yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and do it. You don't want to do this. This is not being skillful. This kind of thing doesn't work in your personal life either. Reminding them of all the stuff that they said they were going to do. Here's how that sounds. Hey, Kurt, I know when we talked on Friday, you were going to look around and see if you could get a better deal on an apartment. I'm just curious to see if you had a chance to look around. What is their answer going to be on all of that? Oh, no, I haven't, but I need to do that. Now you're right back in the hole. Don't put yourself back in the hole. Hey, Kurt, it's Matt. Sound positive. Sound like you're professional. Sound like you're moving forward. Sound like this. Hey, Kurt, it's Matt here in the leasing office in Meadow. We spoke on Friday, as promised, calling to see if it makes sense to get that lease renewal out of the way. Give me a call here in the leasing office, 303-803-7372. You're going to find that so often when somebody was emotional saying, this wasn't fixed, this is still dripping, I want upgrades, I want a lower rent. Okay? When you just stay positive, does it make sense to blank? Yes. Congratulations, you made a great decision. What happens next is blank. I'm going to send you the paperwork. You're going to sign it. Does it make sense to renew your lease? No. Got it. What's a good next step then? I don't know. What's a good next step on my end? Point the question at yourself. If they still say, I don't know, you now are in the right to set a next step. Totally get it. Let's do this. It's Monday afternoon right now. How about we do this? I'll call you Wednesday if I haven't heard from you before then. Fair enough? Sure. Now you're de-escalating the situation. Let's talk about rent increases. Okay? Here's another hole that we get ourselves in all the frickin' time. Any derivation of these words are death. Any versions of these words are death. Let me check with Kurt and see what we can do. Let me check with my manager and see what I can do. Let's say you are in a situation, which I'm hoping you're not, because it's not a good way to live, where you can go to ownership, you can go to leadership, and see if you can cut little side deals, keep somebody at the community. I'm just going to tell you right now, as a business owner that has made bad mistakes in life, I'm telling you that's a mistake. You want to make those mistakes, go for it. I don't own your property. You should have a crystal clear, cut and dry, we don't do that, we do this, period, the end. You should not be going to Kurt and saying, hey Kurt, you know, Tina, we love having Tina here. Can we cut a special deal, the Tina deal, a friends and family deal for Tina where she doesn't pay the $75? It's no way to live. No good deed goes unpunished. Tina is going to turn into Miss Jackson, Janet Jackson, if you're nasty, right? And say, what have you done for me lately? The 75 is not going to be appreciated, okay? So I would hope that you're not doing that. But when you say any derivations of the words, let me check with my manager, let me check with my owner, let me check with Kurt, they hear, I'm going to get you a deal. And now it's not even when you come back and you're like, great news, I can get you that deal. Guess what they're going to do? Well, I want a better deal. Even if you are going to give them a deal, which I hope you are not, it sounds like this. Can you give me a discount on the $75? No, we can't. Well, I'm not going to lease on that. Got it. What's a good next step then? Well, I'm just not going to do it, right? Unless with this 75, I'm not going to do it. Hey, I got it. What's a good next step for me? Well, I'm not sure. Totally understand. How about we do this? I'll call you Wednesday if I heard from you before then. Fair enough? Yeah, that's fine, whatever, but I'm not re-signing my lease. And then if you go to Kurt, which I hope you're not doing, and Kurt approves, knocking the $75 off, then you can call and say, hey, great news. Kurt owed me a favor. Now, hopefully you'll owe me a favor, right? I would love it if you could leave a Google review or refer some people here, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to cover the 75 for you, okay? I hope we can keep this between us, but I hope you're not doing that because that's not a good way to run the business. But notice the difference. I never said, let me see what I can do, let me get back to you. Let me talk to my manager, let me get back to you. For as far as they're concerned, you are leaving it as a no, this is not happening, and you're just setting a next step, and then you're calling them with good news. Because if you let them know I'm going to check, what they hear in their head, what echoes around their little cranium is, I'm getting you a deal. The question is, how big of a deal am I going to get you? And I'm going to come and give you this deal, and you're going to whine and cry, and I'm going to get you a better deal. Because when we discount, when we give specials, when we do this, we train people not to renew the lease. Because the more they complain, the more they give us a bad time, the better their deal gets. So why wouldn't they complain more? Does that make sense? Here's what I want you guys to do. Stay cool, stay calm, stay collected. Does it make sense to bump? If they bring up a problem, you guys haven't cleaned this up, that's still dripping, that light is still out, you're going to mirror, the light's still out? Right? Did you fill out a thing? Hey, that's a separate discussion. Let's knock that out right now. Let's go into the portal, do that. As soon as you're done with doing that, okay? You're not going to apologize. Well, I'm really sorry that happened, but can we still renew your lease? You're going to go, cool, glad we got that out of the way. Now back to the first order of business. Does it make sense to renew the lease? And you have to say that with unemotion. You have to say that with conviction. You can't say that passively like, well, you know, I'm really sorry about that, but geez, is there any way we can get your... Straight up, does it make sense to renew the lease? You're in a great position. Okay? No. Got it. What's a good next step then? I don't know. I mean, I want to see if you get this drip fixed. Got it. It's on the calendar to be fixed now that we've actually filled out the request. Looks like maintenance is going to get to that by Friday. What's a good next step on my end? Well, call me after the drip is fixed. Perfect. I'm going to make a note here to call you Monday at 2:30 if I haven't heard from you before then on the lease renewal. Fair enough? Then Monday at 2:30, hey Kurt, it's Matt in the leasing office as promised, calling to see if it makes sense to renew your lease. Now, if you're skillful, check with maintenance and make sure they fix that, right? I would check with maintenance on Friday and be like, yo, I've got to renew this person's lease. Make sure it's done by the end of the day. You can use the same word with your maintenance team. Fair enough. And they're going to go, okay, cool, we'll make it happen. Right then on Monday, as promised, you're not going to say, as promised, I know we finally fixed the leak. Don't put yourself back in holes. All right. This is what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. We can open it up to any questions on this or anything else you guys have. The way people rent apartments has changed. Today's renter has access to more information. Today's renter has more choices. The apartment industry needs you. Studies have shown that moving is the most stressful life event. The old sales training, well, it just doesn't work today. I'd like to teach you how to take the stress out of leasing apartments in a way that's meaningful to you and your renters and get you 7 times more leases. I'll show you how the perfect leasing process works. I'm gonna walk you through everything, from answering the phone to closing the lease. I'm gonna show you how to determine your prospects' wants and their needs so that you can build value in your apartments. You will learn how to handle any objection or complaint. I'm gonna show you how to connect with your renter so it's easy for them to rent with you. I've taught the best property management companies and thousands of people just like you how to lease apartments. Property management is complicated. I'll simplify it for you. There's more competition than ever before. I'm gonna show you how to be number one. All of a sudden, your career, it's gonna make perfect sense, even if you've never worked in sales or property management before. And for the advanced property manager, I'm gonna show you how to take things to the next level. Leasing University is a new, simple, step-by-step process that's effective. We're gonna help you become a rock star in property management. I'm Matt Easton, and this is Leasing University.